dawn is breaking, a light shining through. You're barely waking, and I'm tangled up in you. You can sing along. Lyrics are very deep at this point. I'm open, you're closed. Where I follow, you'll go. I worry, I won't see your face light up again, 'cause even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. Out of the doubt that fills my mind, I somehow find you and I collide. Oh yes. Oh yes, we can do pop music. This is pop music. Hugh says, D to the G. If you see this, know that YouTube sticks an ad in front of your stream when it starts. Then we join the stream in progress. Please consider waiting a bit. Okay. So I should. Okay, Nancy is doing the do. You guys want me to start the song over again? Okay. No, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna do it. Ready? For those of you that saw the Monsanto ad at the beginning and missed the amazing performance that I just did, yeah, I'm gonna do this song again. The dawn is breaking. The compost needs to be turned. You're barely waking, and I'm pushing you out the door. Yeah. There's something in the garden you've got to do. I'm not joking, you've got to do it. I'm open, you're closed. Where I follow, you'll compost. I worry you'll escape and won't. Oh, all the rows, even the best fall down sometimes. So get up right now and pick those limes out of the compost that fills my mind. I'm disappointed, you don't seem to care like I do. Stuff in the garden to do. Better do. The stuff in the garden, I'm through. I will be through with you. Okay, that's probably enough. I don't want to lose everybody on the stream. Happy evening. Happy Friday night. And got a lot of fun. All right, let me say hi to everybody here. Daniel, Nancy, Leaf. Leaf says, I'm here. I just liked and shared. Good job. Hugh says, hello, good people. Joey says, this will make my drive home much better. Too bad I won't be able to chat. I'll try to read some of the chats for you, and maybe you'll be lucky and somebody would ask a similar question. Last night, our gentleman says, made it tonight. What did I miss last night? Last night I answered some garden questions. We had some fun. Took a lot of questions, answered a wide variety of stuff. It's kind of more of an open forum along with some stuff from my email. And I started early, so we didn't have as many people as normal. So I had to go out and jam, which went quite well. Except I gotta tell you guys, right? I'm in the middle. I gotta play this, right? I'm in the middle of this song here. Just a second. I'm gonna find. I've got it. Where is it? Where are you? Son of a gun. I've got to find this. I've got to find this song. Okay, here we go. So I'm in the middle. Kind of like people can come and jam and play, and a lot of people are really good. But my first song on my set, I'm like, good evening, you know, buenos noches, and I start singing this, and Rachel's playing the violin. Come up to meet you. Wait a minute. Come up to meet you. Tell you I'm sorry. You don't know how lovely you are. And then this trumpet player shows up. Like, this guy literally walks up with a trumpet. And I'm like, okay, like, if it's made out of metal and it goes in your mouth, it does not belong in a Coldplay song. I had to find you, tell you I need you, tell you I'll set you apart, tell me your secret. If I'm finally like, dude, just, and the guy looks at me like he's so sad. Like, what the heck? What in the world? Why did you? I don't know. It did not work. It was hilarious, but it was so bad. Like, I don't want to offend the guy, right? But it was horrible. You get like Rachel's playing the. It's got this nice mellow thing, and the funny thing is I look down. And there's this pretty girl, and when I start singing it, this pretty girl is sitting down there at one of the tables, and she knows the song, right? And I see her start mouthing the words along, and I'm like, all right, cool, you know, like, we're singing the song together, people are getting, and then, and the girl's like gone. It was hilarious. Hardy Bark! Oh my goodness, Hardy Bark is here. This is the guy that makes my Compost Your Enemies t-shirts in Elkmont, Alabama. Just across from the Big Red Caboose. Thank you. Good to see you here, man. Oh, my goodness. So, all right, let's get into this stuff. I have a couple of things here. Let's see, how many people are we up to now? I'm seeing we've got 56 people. So I think everybody has watched their Monsanto ads and they're now ready to get into some organic gardening, right? So I saw this. And I felt really convicted. I mean, that just drives it home, doesn't it? Basically, out of all the animals in the world, half of them are dogs and cats. And the other half we eat, except in some countries. So, I saw this and I was like, wow, what's a pet and what's food? Now, so I saw this and then I was like, okay, I'm feeling really guilty because obviously I don't want to eat somebody's cute puppy or, you know, a cat. And then I saw this. Oh, no. So, we were talking about the paleo diet last night. Now I'm really feeling like, I think I'm just going to go on a mineral diet. Yeah. You can't draw the line. You can't draw the line. That's the point. This is serious rhetoric right here. This is powerful. So, and then I saw this. Different but equal. Be fair, be vegan. So basically squirrels, I guess that's a squirrel. Squirrels are equal to women. And so I'm like, okay, Well, I'm shooting. I mean, I used to shoot the squirrels that got into my peach trees. I mean, this is rough. Squirrels are equal to women. So I don't know what you ladies think about that. I mean, I find it offensive. Let's just clean our minds out a little bit here. Namaste. I don't know if I said that right. All right, so. All right, people. Now that we've lost half of the thread. All right, so today I'm going to talk about my stinky gardening secret. And Flyover Pilgrim says some women could be squirrely. I remember one of the families I grew up with. They were in the same homeschool group as us. The dad would always be like, "No, don't be squirrely. Don't be squirrely. No, you kids don't be squirrely." I was like, "Squirrely? That's funny." You know, it's like, okay, I get it. Don't be squirrely. It's funny. It just like goes right home. Don't be. Never mind. All right, so. We are going to talk about my stinky gardening secret, and this comes from my book, Compost Everything, The Good Guide to Extreme Composting. And, boy, Chapter 14. Oh, here we go. Stretching your compost. Dave's number one inarguable rule of composting. No matter how much compost you make, you'll never have as much as you want. The breakdown of organic matter into well-done compost yields remarkably little finished product. It's very, very sad. I'm concluding this book with this chapter because you need to know there's hope for your gardens even if your compost yields are low. Organic gardeners often use massive amounts of compost in their plots. Square Foot Gardening, for example, recommends creating soil for your beds that consist of 1/3 finished compost. That is a lot of compost to make yourself. It's also expensive to buy if you're doing more than just a bed or two. The fact is, compost is amazing stuff. It doesn't need to be added in huge quantities to keep your garden healthy or your plants strong. This is good because of Dave's number one inarguable rule of composting. Here's how a gardener can stretch his compost and keep the garden happy without spending 28 hours a day building and turning piles. The answer is only 7 words long. Compost tea. In a big stinky barrel. So, compost tea. Now, every time I say compost tea, people are thinking, okay, compost tea, like the aerobic stuff, like you're going to get a bubbler, you're going to put in a little bit of compost and some pantyhose that I don't even know where you get pantyhose anymore. They used to come in eggs. I don't know, squirrels would lay them or something. But you put a little mesh bag of compost into a bucket or something of non-chlorinated water, and maybe you throw in some molasses, and then you put a bubbler in there, and the idea is that all the little bacteria and stuff, they start getting around in there, and you keep them alive because it's aerobic. That means there is oxygen in it. Anaerobic means without oxygen or without air. So with the traditional composting tea thing, like you see in the book Jeff Lowenthal's Teaming with Microbes, right? He's a big proponent of compost tea. And the compost tea, the big benefit of it is you're creating all of this microbial life, and then you're releasing it into the garden, and you're supercharging, and you're chasing out fungal infections. You're chasing out, powdery mildew and that sort of thing. And I have used a compost tea to treat powdery mildew on pumpkins. It works. But the thing that I'm doing is not really, when I say compost tea, it's not really compost tea. It's sort of I call it fetid swamp water. But the trick is to grab, what I'm doing is actually going not for the biological side of things. I'm not looking for the proper balance of microbes or whatever else. I am looking for the highest level of nutrition in an easily spreadable and usable fashion. So you'll see me take a big barrel, and I might throw some ashes into it, throw a bunch of weeds into it, I might pour some urine into it. If I have blackstrap molasses, I might put some of that in there. I'll put Epsom salts in there for magnesium and sulfur. I will put rotten fish guts. I've thrown entire fruit into it, and smashed up breadfruit, boiled, whatever, kitchen scraps. I put all that stuff in there, and I just let it bubble down and rot under anaerobic conditions. And so, the big argument against it is anaerobic. Anaerobic is like all the dangerous, scary bacteria and stuff. But, if we drink that, we're going to get sick. But if plants get it, the plants seem to be fine. And now this has been years worth of doing it, and we haven't had any trouble. We never got sick or anything. I should probably put some sort of disclaimer in here, but you could read my books. You can see all the posts I did on it. And the way I figured this out was, I was reading about manure tea. You take a shovelful of manure, you put it in a barrel, you pour some water over it, and it rots down, and you stir it up every once in a while, and you spread it along, and you kind of get a liquid fertilizer. So cool. And I read about weed tea. No, not that kind of weed. The other kind of weed. Weeds. So you take your weeds from your garden, you put them in a barrel or something, you let them rot down, and then you spread the tea out. And then I was reading about comfrey tea. And comfrey tea is the same thing. You put them in there, they liquefy, you pour them out, and then, people dilute urine. People use fish emulsion. I'm thinking, look, we've got all these different potential sources of fertility. Why not just all combine them together? Why is it suddenly bad to have an anaerobic composting condition when, from some of what I've read, if you compost under anaerobic conditions, you can actually end up with higher nutrients in the end because not as much stuff off gases. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not a scientist. I am a experimenter, and I'm a practiculturalist. So what I did was I took a trash can in my greenhouse one winter, and I put a little bit of manure in it. I put a little bit of urine in it. I put some weeds in it. I put some moringa leaves in it because I figured, well, they're high in nutrition. I put some comfrey leaves in it. Put whatever I, kind of had laying around. And I thought, oh, there's a wide variety of stuff in here. And I let it rot down for a few weeks. And then I started putting the watering can in it. And the first thing I noticed was, wow, this smells really bad. If you've ever gone through a swamp, you know what anaerobic decomposition smells like. It smells terrible. So I dipped into it, and I started watering the plants in the greenhouse with it. And I noticed something amazing. They all greened up, and they grew like crazy, even though it was cool at night, and it wasn't the ideal growing season time for them. They loved it, and they thrived on it. And so I said, okay, I got something here. So the next summer, actually it was spring, when I planted my corn that I was talking to you guys about the other night, growing corn in the wide rows, and Jake next door told me, plant them 3 feet wide. Well, what I did was I used the anaerobic barrel. I took a barrel and I dumped the bottom of a thing of fish emulsion into it. I threw in some Epsom salts, and I threw in some shovelfuls of manure, and I just let it sit out there and bubble and rot down. And I think I threw some weeds in there too. But I took that stuff, and then I dipped it out every couple of weeks, and I would just pour it down the rows of corn, and the corn went crazy on it. So after that point, I was like, well, I don't need to. Because the reason I did it actually was because I'm looking at all this corn and saying, if I was going to do chemical fertilization, I could take my little handful of 10-10-10 or whatever's good for corn and just go down the rows and sprinkle it. It's very easy to handle. It's very concentrated. It's very strong compared to trying to get enough compost into the system. When you have 4,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet of garden and you're trying to get enough compost for it, you have to really, really be heavy with your compost creation systems. That's why John Jeevons, in his Grow Biointensive method, it dedicates, I think it's 40 or 60%, I can't remember at the moment off the top of my head, of his plots are compost crops. Like deliberately there to be compost. So, the amount of compost that you have to spread through a big garden gets daunting. And so, it's like stuff is struggling and you have, like, oh, my garden is all organic, but it's suffering unless I'm putting tons of compost into it. So people want to grow an organic garden, and then they go and they buy a big truckload of some sort of, compost, which often contains biosolids from municipal waste and all kinds of stuff that you're like, I don't know that I would actually want to put that on my ground. I've had people tell me that they bought compost or mixed soil and then had their gardens get damaged by herbicides because stuff is coming from all over the place. So your other choice is, okay, well, you're going to have to go buy bone meal and blood meal or cottonseed meal or feather meal or kelp meal and this meal and that meal and all these meals and throw them in, and it gets expensive if you have a large space. So you can grow your own compost. You can be doing green manures, which I absolutely recommend. You crop in between systems with green manure crops, or you can find a way to stretch your compost. And so when I had all this corn out there, I was like, I got to have a way to give them a high dose of fertility in a way that I can stretch it over a large distance. Because if I was going to just indiscriminately till manure in the ground, then I'd be looking at a pickup truck full of manure. So I ended up feeding all this corn on a very small amount of actual materials going in at the beginning. Just a few shovelfuls of manure and the various other amendments that I dumped in there, and I was able to feed the corn to fruition and get ears off it in a way that would have just consumed a lot of other resources to do. So at that point, after I had done the greenhouse thing and then I did the corn test, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. And over the years, I've gotten crazier and crazier. Somebody said, what's your recipe? And I'm like, the broadest range of stuff I can possibly get, the highest level of fertility I can get. If I got a little seaweed, I throw the seaweed in there. I got some ashes, I throw the ashes in there. If I've got urine, which everybody always has urine, throw some of that in there. You got fish guts, fish heads, throw that in there. You've got a bunch of grass you cut, throw that in there. And so I was doing this, and I was thinking that I was kind of an innovator. Like, look at me, I've got this anaerobic compost tea thing, Dave's fetid swamp water. And then somebody says, oh, so you've read about Korean natural farming? I'm like, Korean natural farming? No, I don't know anything about it. And they sent me a video on creating, microorganism soup. And I'm like, okay. So I bought the book, the big Jadam book on Korean natural farming, and I read it cover to cover. And what I found was the Koreans have already been doing this for a long, long time. Whereas we have generally concentrated in the West on aerobic composting systems, the Koreans were using anaerobic composting systems, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of Korean food is fermented. They have a very strong culture of fermentation and preservation through fermentation. So it only makes sense that when they look at their garden, they start thinking the same way. Like, well, we ferment all kinds of other things under anaerobic conditions. Why not make some fertilizers this way? So they will actually go and he cuts grass, he takes fruit, and he takes like wild grasses, big bunches of wild grasses, packs them into a barrel, covers it, and lets it rot, and then uses that to feed the gardens. So, I'm like, this is not insane. I actually ended up like being backed up by Korean farming practices, and just something I learned from experimentation. I'm like, I feel like we're on the cusp of something, like these comfrey teas and this weed tea and this stuff, but nobody wants to quite go all the way and just throw a bunch of material in a barrel and let it rot down and stink. And as soon as it starts smelling bad, people have told me, oh, this smells so bad. Does that mean it's bad? I'm like, well, plants don't have noses, so it doesn't really matter. So, I'm going to show you something here. Raven and Jasmine. Raven sent me a video. This is a picture of her garden, and you can watch the video where she takes you through the garden. And you can see the gardens. Now, this soil is very thin, and she is feeding them. And at the beginning, she's got this big rolling bin that she's jammed full of material, and she's using it as a primary fertilizer in this garden area, which has very thin soil, but you can see how lush and green and beautiful it was. So she was nice enough to send me a video of them using the system that I outline and compost everything. I'd like to say I innovated, but I can't innovate. I'd have to go back in time to beat the Koreans. So I'm just going to say rediscovered or something like that. So this is their system. You can go check out that video below. And Raven is one of us regular good gardeners, so you'll see her here and there. So let me show you another one. Sheila wrote me this a year or two ago. She said, I just wanted to touch base with you about composting. The weeds in a bucket, then add water. Works so well. The tea is wonderful. All my plants are greening up and say thank you. I have many little buckets of this to water and feed my plants weekly. So thank you for the information about composting. It works. No money to buy fertilizer. I love it. Yeah, it's one of the great benefits is you don't have to buy anything to do this. Fish guts. You can get fish guts for free, right? I mean, you probably got some laying around right now. And you can go out and you don't have fish guts, go in the backyard, cut a bunch of leaves off of various trees that look like they're going to rot down well, put some alfalfa, whatever you got, throw it in the water, let it rot down, and all the work that plant did gathering up the minerals to feed itself, you're going to turn around and give it to your plants. So Sheila says, P.S. This is my sidekick. Oh, this is the sidekick. And look at those beautiful echinacea. What a nice looking dog. Good dog. I bet the dog... I wonder what the dog thinks of the smell. Okay, so in this case, I would say the echinacea is the food. If anybody's going to bring that... No, the echinacea is the food. The dog is the friend. That's a sidekick dog. You people. It just hurts. It's hard to be a vegan. All right, so I'm going to take a few questions here and see what we got here. Let's see what we got before we go. Compost tea talk, Deanna says, yes. Hardy Bark says, pets are the illegal immigrants of the animal kingdom. Yeah, that's very true. Actually, we have actually caused quite a bit of damage by bringing pets along with us into various systems, and not to mention rats, mosquitoes, and other things that have followed us all over the globe. Mars Altar says, to be fair, a squirrel has never gotten mad at me for something I did in a dream. Oh, dear. Okay. Southern Catfish King says, can I compost my neighbor? No, you're supposed to love your neighbor. You compost your enemies. Let's see. Jody Meat says, don't really have the space to compost, aka live in an apartment, but I do bury my organic kitchen waste in the ground next door, and thanks, David, for introducing me to it. Yeah, I've written quite a bit on it just dodging the waste stream and not throwing compostable material into the trash so it goes to the landfill. I mean, you have a gardener, you can save compost for them. If you have a bucket, you can put a lid on it, you can go throw it in the woods. I mean, put the stuff back into nature. A lot of this stuff does not need to be thrown into a landfill. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, burying organic kitchen waste in the ground next door, it's great. It's going to feed the ground, goes back to the soil, does not go in a landfill. Let's see. Can you make it in a 5-gallon bucket? Yes. Aaron Justinson says, excellent book. I'm not sure if he's talking about my book or John Jeevan's book, but thank you. I like good books. Flyover Pilgrim says, fetid swamp water is the only way we can have compost. Our chickens eat most all kitchen scraps, but we do compost all their bedding, so there's that. Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense to turn it into eggs probably than plants. Natasha says, I've heard of people using excess milk as a type of compost tea. Yeah, you can actually use milk dust as a fertilizer, like powdered milk. Can I use wheatgrass for wheat tea? I don't see why not. I would, it's a grass. I would feed it. Sean says, neighbor threw out a bunch of spoiled meat, so obviously I swiped it to bury beneath the pumpkins, but there was a frozen baby pygmy rattler in there with it. That's safe to compost? Yeah, it'll break down. Don't worry about it. I mean, don't hang it from your earlobes or anything. Southern Catfish King says, 1960 to kill a mockingbird, 2019 to kill a rattlesnake. Sad. Let's see. Southern Catfish King says, David the Good, do you have problems with venomous snakes on your property? Not so far. Not so far. Thank you. We'll just hope not so far. I did have a venomous snake on my old property in Florida, but I'm in a farming area, and a lot of the snakes, like farmers, are very meticulous about killing the snakes. Unfortunately, they kill the good ones too, but they kill like every snake they can find. So. Mad Dog says, if any food or anything says cottonseed oil ingredient, do not use it. This is no exaggeration. Every single one of the pesticides and herbicides banned in the USA are used in other countries. and they are in cottonseed oil, including DDT. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. I don't eat cottonseed oil in my food because it's bad for you. It's not a real food. It's a bad vegetable oil. It's supposed to cause drops in testosterone and other problems, so I just stay away from it. David Goldberg, Shekel Diamond Steinwitz, PhD, says, does ashes from the oven help too? Yes. Oven ashes are good. Just make sure you're not burning anything really weird like plastic or whatever. Trying to get through here. We've got a lot of questions tonight. Fetid swamp water should be David's band name. Yes, thank you, Mars. Fetid swamp water gets rid of neighbors' drunken parties. Yeah, Konstantina Marinakos. Sounds like a Greek name. Hopefully I got that right. Is the stink how you know it's rotted down enough and ready to use? Yeah, when it's really rotten, it stinks. I usually just give it 2 or 3 weeks to rot down, so a lot of the material has liquefied, and I know that it's released the nutrients into the water. Stir it up really well, dip in some buckets or whatever, and then go water with it. Sometimes I strain it so I can run it through a watering can better. Can you mix the swamp water with fish guts? Yes, absolutely. Jody says, I have a problem with cats. Use if my sidewalk garden. Do you know a natural way to keep them out? No, I don't. All right, Marauder's got to leave. I'll see you. See you, brother. What about the roots of weeds like Bermuda grass, false dandelions, etc.? I know you're just using liquid, but when you put the broken down weeds back into compost, are the weed roots dead? Good question. Some things I would not put in there, like some seeds may actually carry all the way through and keep living. Most of them rot down because there's so much biological activity going on. But, you know, what you can always do with the roots and stuff, I've just taken a stick with like a few little branches on it and just swish it through the water and pull out the stuff that hasn't rotten down, like the fibrous bits of roots and vines that are still there. Constance Ohlert says, hi y'all, just joining in. Any experience with using bagasse, which is the spent sugarcane stalks from what I understand? Sounds like it would be super clutch. Thoughts? Any idea where I can get it? If there is a sugar cane growing facility or sugar manufacturing place or a rum distillery that still does it from the cane juice, that's where you would get it. It rots very nicely. It makes beautiful compost. It's kind of rough, but you can use it as a rough mulch, but it rots and makes very beautiful soil underneath. Now, I don't know what they spray on the field, so it's hard to say. All right, so elephants keep dogs away. Oh, that's good. All right, that reminds me. Before I continue this presentation, I had something to show you guys. Check this out. Anybody know what this fruit is? Anybody got a guess on what this fruit is? Weird, isn't it? Nope, not chayote. Good guess. Good guess. Not chayote. Nope, not chayote. It's I don't think elephant snot is the right term. Not part of the coconut family. Definitely looks like it, doesn't it? Not a yam bulbul. I have one of those too. I'm going to show you guys though. Pokemon. That's a good guess. Oh, you guys are close. Looks like cancer. Loony fruit. A very angry jicama. Okay, you guys, this is getting better. This is good. Where does it fall on the pets to food spectrum? It's a good question. Let me show you. This is Delenia indica. Does that help at all? Delenia indica? Fossilized pangolin. Some kind of nut. Looks like a giant booger. Cracked doll skull. Apple from Chernobyl. New baby. Oh my gosh, you guys. Delenia indica. It's food all the way down. All right. This is called elephant apple. And it's technically edible. I cut it open. It's definitely not particularly edible raw. I found these things underneath a tree today, and I went, oh my goodness, what in the world is this? No kidney stones for me. I drink coffee all day. It cleans everything out. So this is an actual edible, but in India they make pickles out of it. So that is, I don't even want to show you this other one. I don't know what you guys are going to guess. All right, I'll show it to you. Here's another one. Look at this thing. Look at that weird thing. And any guesses? This grew on a tree. This actually looks like something that would come out of the bushes and bite you. Yeah, well, that's kind of scary. It's like that strike. I remember watching this documentary on giant squid, and it was like coming at the screen. So, not a banana, not a bean, not a snake, cucumber. Elephant snout was close. Yeah, Alan. Not moringa. It's actually, I don't know if you could see it, but it's glossy and waxy. Lotus bean, bitter milk. Nope. Giant mutant vanilla. Good. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Some kind of chili pepper. No, it's not a chili pepper. It looks like it, doesn't it? It grew on a tree. I don't know if that helps you at all. I was out wandering today and just picking stuff up and trying to find out what they were. And this is one of the weirdest things. Not a moringa pod. I'm going to give you the Latin name. All right. Parmentiera cerifera. It is a fruit. I mean, it's so bizarre. Like, every time I think, oh, I pretty much have figured out all the fruits, I'll be just, like, walking, and I go, what the heck is that thing? So I found a couple today. I was actually at the remnants of a defunct garden, and just wandering, and the person doing security just, like, looked at me and was like, I mean, they're like doing other stuff there and everything, but there's still all these old trees from a garden. And so I just went wandering to see if there was anything cool there, because somebody told me there was a jackfruit tree back there, and I wanted to go see it. So, this is Parmentiera cerifera, and it is called the candle fruit. If you look this thing up, it looks so weird. You know, actually, I own the Fruit Hunters, but I have not read it yet because I forgot it. I left it back in the States, so I didn't get to read it. So this is called candle fruit. It's supposed to be edible. I tried eating it. It tastes absolutely horrible, so I'm probably not doing it right. It's supposed to be sweet, so anyhow. Let's see here. Let's get back to the tea. I'm going to show you something else that is really cool. A man named Matt wrote me a couple of years ago after reading Compost Everything, and he wrote this. This is on his blog, and there's a link to his blog below this video. An unused, shady corner of our big garden had become an absolute massive jungle of morning glory, impossible to even walk through. I scared up a barrel and started working on cleaning up this corner. Why the barrel? Well, it's one of the important parts of the compost tea. The other two parts, water and weeds. I spent several mornings pulling morning glory vines and stuffing them down into the barrel. I put a lid on the barrel to keep the mosquitoes out. After filling the barrel and packing it down, I had nearly 100 pounds of morning glory vines in a 40-gallon barrel. I said we had a morning glory problem. I filled the barrel up to overflowing with water and let it work for a few days. Oh, and if you watch the video all the way to the end, that's the secret ingredient that I added as well. After about a week in the heat, I ended up with the worst smelling liquid I've ever run across. I was a little afraid to dip it out, but I dunked a half bucket out, watered it down a bit, and poured it on some of the fall cauliflower, broccoli, and Brussels sprout seedlings. The smell was so strong, I half expected the plants to either wilt over or grow 2 feet in an instant, kind of like in a cartoon. That didn't happen, but within a week's time, those puny little seedlings definitely put on some growth. I've since dosed the okra plants and seen some noticeable results. I missed a couple of plants, and they aren't putting out the okra pods yet, like their neighbors are starting to. So, he packed morning glory vines. He's like, And so he sent me this post like, hey, I tried the thing, and I took morning glory vines. I figured let's turn a weed into fertilizer for the garden. And that's one of the greatest things about this Stinky Compost anaerobic tea is that you could take something that would otherwise be waste, and you can turn it into a resource for the garden. So every plant is spending all this time gathering sugars and gathering minerals from the ground and building up all this growth, right? So there's a ton of nutrition in a lot of these plants, even though we can't necessarily access it. Like morning glory vines, you don't want to eat those. But when you take all the hard work that they did, stick it in some water, you let it rot down, let the bacteria just breed and chew their way through it, and then you pour this bacteria-rich water. Well, guess what? Those bacteria have a lot of nitrogen in them too. They're all growing on there and they're chewing on that stuff. You pour them in the ground, you've just thrown all those bacteria to rot in the ground because they're not gonna live in the soil like they live in a big barrel. A lot of them are simply going to die and feed the ground. So you're creating this big biological soup, pouring it along the ground and letting it rot and feed the plants. No, I'm not drinking that tea right now. I'm drinking Lipton because I've already had like 3-4 cups of coffee today, so I'm chilling now. Don't tell me that Lipton has DDT in it. I don't want to hear it because it's so cheap. So here is a barrel right here with the compost tea in it. You can see there's a whole bunch of material. This stuff is rotted down quite a bit. And this had a bunch of grass in it. It had moringa twigs. It had weeds in it. Probably had kitchen scraps and who knows what else in there. And so all this stuff right here is now turning into food for the garden. And my wife loves this method because every time she weeds, like, she's more meticulous about it than I am. I tend to think of it and then forget about it and like set a barrel aside and then load it up. But she feeds it regularly. When she goes out and she weeds a garden bed, she gathers them all up in a little basket, or she'll carry like a coffee can or something with her and just stuff stuff into it, and then she'll take it and go dump it, you know. So it really works well. Now, a couple of caveats with this method, because you're dealing with bacteria, just like, you know, we are with a lot of, you know, like chicken manure and that sort of thing. Because you're dealing with bacteria, I don't think it's a good idea to go and water your lettuce bed with it when you're getting ready to eat the lettuce. Bad idea. Just don't do that. You know, you don't want to get sick. You don't want to cause trouble. It's probably better for fruit trees and crops that are going to fruit, like leafy greens and that sort of thing. I would just probably give them the compost in the ground and maybe water when you plant, water them when they're little, and then let them grow up. But if it hasn't rained, there hasn't been much sunshine, you know, like moist but dim conditions are like just rife for bacterial growth. So when you get a good rain and then you have nice sunny days, the UV tends to sterilize a lot of stuff. So most everything you know pick off of trees and things are going to be fine. You could just go eat fruit out in the field and it's usually fine. Just make sure there's no bird droppings or anything on it, and you ought to be good. But with this stuff, you know, because you don't exactly know what's breeding in it, the bacteria that are going to be harmful to us are not necessarily harmful to plants. I've never had any plants get sick off of it or do badly. They all just thrive on it. It's like they absolutely love it. But I don't. I just want to tell you, you know, don't go. You know, don't be too crazy. You know, I mean, I'm one to tell you guys that. Don't be too crazy, or at least don't sue me if you are too crazy. Ecocentric Homestead says, I have a bucket of water with fish guts in it. Been sitting for a year. I am afraid to open it. It should be fine after a year. The worst with the fish guts is the first couple of weeks. It absolutely reeks. And then it tends to kind of stabilize somewhat. I found that it just kind of, it smells like you're by the ocean or by a fish market, but it's not bad. At least I didn't find it to be so. But then again, I drink Lipton tea, so I'm not known for my great taste necessarily. No, I don't want to say that because maybe Lipton tea is sponsoring this. Lipton tea, the first choice for good gardeners. Why spend more? Look for the yellow label. Put it in your favorite mug. Enjoy responsibly. Ah, that's good. Thank you, Lipton. Appreciate that. I didn't get any super chats tonight, so maybe Lipton will send us one. Open that sucker and let freedom stink. Blockulo says, I love the anaerobic muck. Got a 5-gallon bucket that gets fed coffee grounds and the juice from my black beans every day. Oh, yeah, the juice from when you're cooking, that's great stuff, particularly beans. Let it foam. It smells like pure vomit, but the plants love it. There's an endorsement right there. Smells like pure vomit, but I love it. Thanks, Lipton. Mine is getting some other kind of fly, not mosquito, even though I cover it. Yeah, there's these little flies that kind of almost look like a moth with the little wings that go sideways. They're kind of, they seem to get into everything. They don't seem to cause trouble, though. I don't know what they are. Good thing the compost police have no access to warrants. Luftfisk. Yeah, that's right. The stinkiest fish in the world. Do you believe for every drop of rain that flows, you grow fungus between... Okay, no, Rick. That's rude. We don't do rude on this channel. Leaf says, I just composted Egyptian licorice mint tea grounds and the tea bag itself. Hope it breaks down. Oh, yeah, it'll break down. Don't worry about it. I mean, unless it's like a plastic bag, but that's not going to happen. I prefer my tea sweet and iced, like my squirrels. Is there an easy way to tell the difference between Parker's yarrow and wild carrot / Queen Anne's lace before they flower? I cast seed for both, and they almost look the same without flowers. Oh, that is a dangerous family. That's the Apiaceae family, which is also where you get your poisonous. Oh, son of a gun! What is it called? The stuff that grows in the canals and it kills people. Why can I not remember it? How to tell the difference? I did a video on it. How to tell the difference between water hemlock. Thanks, Lipton. Yeah, there's some sort of a gnat. I don't know how to tell the difference. They look very, very similar, which is why, actually, in one of the field guide survival manuals that the Army published, it basically says stay away from members of the carrot family in the wild. They're difficult to tell. But if you cast seeds for both, and you don't have any poisonous members of the family, you're safe. So, but I can't tell you which one's which, unless you maybe. You know what? Probably. No. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was going to say you could check the color of the roots, but I don't know that that's going to work. They probably both have white roots because the wilder forms of Queen Anne's lace, Mad Dog says, if you want a real fast compost, mix liquid food, processed weeds into garden dirt, and put some worms on it. Oh yeah, I bet they'd love that. Aloe Vigor said, what's the weirdest thing you've ever composted? A placenta. I actually just buried it underneath a chestnut tree. I'd say that's the weirdest. Goat organs. Probably a close second. Saipanda Haha says, I have a barrel catching rain and forgot to cover it one night. A rooster decided to climb up and sleep on it. In the morning he had pooped into it. How long do I need to wait to use it again? Oh. Well, I would just water the plants with it. Because now he's giving you a little fertilizer, and I just water the plants in it, and I mean, if you're gonna use it for drinking water, obviously that's not good. But if you're just using it for irrigation, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just use it. Won't hurt anything. Hemlock, yeah, you got it. I mean, I'm so slow. Sometimes I got all these plant names in my head. It's like I added a couple more today, and a couple fell out. I composted a TV. That was a good choice. Oh, YouTube won't allow you to send a super chat. Well, that's all right. We can still be friends. Pastor Don Elborn says, David, I have been wanting to ask, can you compost old clothes? Yes, you can compost old clothes, but you make sure that they're not. Make sure that they don't have synthetic fabrics, because like elastic will compost eventually. Cotton composts. Wool will compost. Linen composts, those are natural fibers. But if it's like a cotton polyester mix, you don't want to throw that in the compost because you're just going to put a bunch of tiny bits of microplastic in there. That's not good. Whose placenta was it? No comment. Let's just say I have some extreme fans. Ooh. Natasha says, we composted a placenta. The butterfly bush above it is 16 years old and you can't keep up with it. No, that's awesome. Yeah, you know what? We did. We hit 58,000 subscribers today. I'm Your Huckleberry has noticed. Isn't that amazing? I picked up over 3,000 subscribers in the last month. I have had some people show up and say, I don't like how long these I can't watch these long videos. But what I try to do with these videos, I mean, I do answer the questions, and of course we goof around some, but what I try to do is give you guys enough useful, actionable information that you know, I try to keep it moving along. When I get past the goofy song at the beginning and hello to everybody, I try to give you an overview, some good photos, and here's what you can do, and here's something you can go use in your garden, instead of just getting on and talking. And if we want to goof off, I hang around and we play guitar at the end. So there have been people that are like, this is too long. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like long videos. And so I've just started just like getting rid of people that say that, because hey, I mean, 3,000 extra subscribers in 1 month. I've seen a pickup like this, and I've gotten to know some of you guys better. It's really fun. So, yeah, hey, Dennis says, don't forget to like and subscribe to get to 60K. That would be awesome. We could hit 60K. We should hit 60K this month. It's March, right? So if we continue, that's going to work out. Let's see. Virtual reality super chat, $1 million. That's the thought that counts. Pat says, I compost all my old cotton t-shirts. Hugh says, synthetic fabrics are always a problem when I compost my enemies. I know, it's frustrating. It's like you spend more time preparing the body for the compost. I find it's obnoxious. LaRue OBR says, I found you through O&B and Vox. All right. Nice to see some bears here. Say hi to the big bear for me. And Vox and I are buddies, so that's cool. Pat says, one day my compost your enemy's tea will end up in the compost. That is so fitting. A couple of people said, you know, I like your, I like that I can have the paperback version of Compost Everything. I can compost it. Like, can you compost your book? I'm like, absolutely, you can compost your book. But it's probably more useful for you to keep it, because this is the guide to stop screwing around and messing with tumblers and trying to follow all these systems and stuff. There's like a bazillion different ways you can start composting right now and stop throwing stuff in the landfill. And there's a link in the description, by golly. Aaron says, great format, maybe bomb-proof. Yeah, I hope so. Tell the haters to go compost themselves. That's funny. Compost yourself. Hey, Nathaniel, nice to see you here. Lori, it says, it's fun for us too. Well, I'm glad. Pat says, I love the streams. Best part of these winter days. And you know, I have seen such a big uptick in subscribers and likes and you know, in interaction. Like, I can actually talk with you guys rather than, I try to answer most of the comments that I get, but this is cool because we can just, you know, we can just kind of hang out and talk. And so, I mean, I've seen it go up so much. I actually quit a big job that I have been doing for quite a while. For some years, I've been doing audiobook editing, but I realized that I just cannot continue doing all the audiobook production that I was doing for this client, and then manage to do all my writing at the same time. Like, I have books that need to get written. I have videos that need to get produced, and I'm like, if I work really hard, I will make up this money. And so it's going to give me the time. I'm going to be kind of phasing out over the next month or two. And it's going to give me the time to write more, and that's going to be very helpful, because I can continue the Jack Broccoli series. I mean, Garden Heat, a Jack Broccoli novel, is not going to write itself, and neither is the Good Guide to Plant Propagation or the book on beekeeping that I started like 4 years ago with a beekeeper. Haven't finished. I want to do all kinds of things. I like to do an edible plant guide, and I'd like to do some more books with illustrations and pictures. I want to do a book called Tactical Gardening with all kinds of poisonous and deadly dangerous plants, you know, so. Oh my goodness. Nathaniel says tumblers are good for meat. Yeah, you can throw meat in a tumbler. It keeps the animals out, and that is a benefit. I don't hate tumblers. It just seems unnecessarily complicated. I've seen too many people get a tumbler and then not use it. So, Roy says, I am composting spiced rum tonight. Everybody should do their part composting. I hope it's passing through you before it goes to the compost. Mad Dog says, gardening isn't for everyone, but hey, it's in my genes. That's nice. Franklin says, I found you just before realizing you were linked to Vox. Yeah, I've been friends with Vox for, man, years. I used to produce his podcast. Ashley says, my garden is looking amazing thanks to your tips. Thank you. Well, thank you for telling me. That's very encouraging. I'm always surprised when stuff actually works, you know? No, not really. I test all the stuff first. I kill the plant so you don't have to. Sean says, Mr. Good, where might I buy some Seminole pumpkin seeds? Mom wants pumpkins. I say if we're growing pumpkins, they might as well be the edible variety. Yeah, absolutely. Seminole pumpkins are great edible variety. You know what I would do? Anybody want to send Sean some Seminole pumpkin seeds? Anybody got some? You can always send me your email address. I'll make sure somebody hooks up with you, or post it in the chat. Somebody will connect with you. I used to get a lot of seeds just from people sharing them. I would go to meetup groups and meet people at meetup groups and ask people for stuff and bring seeds of my own, and we traded. That's where I got a ton of stuff. Alex Ojeda from Permaculture Jacksonville, he came down to my house. He brought a bunch of stuff for me to grow. And then I turned around and I gave him a bunch of cuttings of stuff that I didn't have. So both of our gardens ended up profiting, from being friends. So Derek says, I have Seminole pumpkin seeds. Derek has an eBay store. That's a good place to get them. Derek, post your eBay store again. I'll approve it. Mad Dog says, why do old people love to garden? To see life bloom and flourish, or to just get used to the idea of dirt? Well, I think that we're not really mortal. Our spirits live into eternity, and we were planted in a garden to begin with, and we're told that heaven is going to be a garden as well. I think it's just a little taste of eternity. Yeah, that we're going to be dust to ashes, dust to dust. The body goes to the dust, and that's quite fitting to compost me when I die. But I think that somehow being in the garden it's just rejuvenating for the soul. And you're in nature, even if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in the afterlife or anything else. There is a comfort to being part of nature as well. But I think, for me as a Christian, I see it as like, this is the place we were designed to be. And, I tried walking around. No, never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to pretend I'm in the Garden of Eden. That's enough. Is there an inedible pumpkin? Yeah, those big orange pumpkins that are the jack-o'-lanterns, they're the closest thing to inedible. They're not very good. You got to work on them. Derek, post your store, man. See if Derek is one of us good gardeners, and he has a store with some rare stuff. I didn't save the things. Paging Derek. Alan says, there's a chemical in soil that makes you feel good. Yeah, man. Southern Catfish King says, are there any toxic bananas? No, I don't believe there's actually anything toxic in that entire Musa family. However, there are a lot of them that are really inedible, like very astringent and nasty. So, oh, come on, we've got it. I know he posted it in a previous thread. Derek, people want to go to your store, man. So let me see here if I had any more things to show you guys. Nope, this barrel is the end right there. So there we go. There is Derek's store. This is his eBay store. He is a good gardener. He has some interesting stuff that most people don't have, and unlike the scammers on eBay, he's a real guy, and he hangs out here with us. So bookmark his link there. He's got Seminole pumpkins and other things. He's got some cool stuff. So, all right, let me see. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Southern Catfish King. Thumbs up. All right, so I think it's time to sing the comments, guys. Unless you guys have some more questions. Yeah, Derek, go ahead and post your wife's Etsy. I'll approve it. That's close enough to a good gardener, right? Does she do gardening? Roy, the address is in my. The address is in my my newsletters. If you're signed up for the newsletter, if you're on my newsletter, you can sign up for the composting guide. God, I don't know if I have. I think I have it here, and the next one will have it in there, right here. If you guys don't have the free composting guide, I've got a bunch of stuff in it. You can get it here. That will sign you up for my newsletter as well, which you can always go ahead and kill. Let's see. I'm trying to get to, just a minute. Let me, no, I've got his, here's what's going on. Take this link of Derek's if you're having trouble. Yeah, just copy the link and paste it into another thing because it's going filtering. It's filtering through through YouTube first. So, all right. So, I'm gonna start singing. Got a mama plantain beer. Makes you wanna get whacked in the forehead with a big stick. So do I. Sean, know I was being serious. Flaking on the name. It's not liking. Etsy is the best place to get sanguinaria canadensis. What did sodium say to chlorine? I've got my eye on you. I do the gardening mostly. Oh, wait, just jumped. I gotta approve this. I do the gardening mostly, but she helps too. Derek, the link is not working. Okay, got it. That link works for me. Make sure to check out Milk and Honey Bakery on Etsy's. David, did you get my latest reply in an email? Just wondering. You said you wanted to meet up when you weren't on drugs, and I said nothing because I didn't write you back. But yes, I got the email, and I think it's better to meet up when you're not on drugs. Etsy link disappeared after posting. David the Good is a brilliant man. Not working. I would have given you all of my yard, but there's someone that's torn it apart. But if you wanna try to plant again, thanks, man. Happy smiley face in a rainbow. There are dot at the end, making it not work. Singing your song till the catfish king goes bananas in Tennessee. Thanks, song is great, but wondering if you could rap. Okay, can I rap it? Alright, let's see. Let's see if we can find a backing track that will not give me a copyright strike. Oh yeah, let's see what we got here. Alright, 1 second. We are going to rap live. I do this actually, I discovered I had a gift some years ago to just freestyle rap over pop songs in the car. And my wife and I had to go through a lot of counseling to work that out. But she's basically just accepted it. It's a form of Tourette's. Ouchie. There we go. I've got to download this track. It's coming in very quickly. Internet is good tonight. All right, so we're gonna wrap the thread here. No, please do not rap. Sorry, Pastor Don. Too late. Yeah. Your streams are perfect. They're never too long. Pets are the illegal immigrants at the end of this song of the animal kingdom. I have to bring in loads of plants. We're expecting a hard freeze in southern Alabama. Can't buy from Derek. If link won't work, what's the name on eBay? Some good old boys down the track would dig these jams. No, please do not rap. My sister goes bananas in northern Alabama. It's a challenge. No, heck yeah, rap. Ha ha. Okay, work. Thanks for the exposure, David. Here it goes. Word up, homie. Gotta hand it to you. Your rapping skills are sharper than a machete. I like some fajita wraps for lunch. I don't like rap. Nice stuff, Derek. Find on eBay by searching exactly like this. In search bar, seller, divine plants. David the Good kills plants so you don't have to. Word to the earth, mother. Compost tea is life. Gonna be looking it over. Money towards your future tour bus. Quan Chung, $5 super chat. Bananas blow, extreme bananas flow. If you want to grow well and don't like rules, follow David the Good. He's the leader of the Rebel Composting. Bookmark, Derek. We're down to 99 people. 99 viewers. But the squirrel ain't one. I'm done. What do you think? Does it work, doesn't it? I think that worked. Mad Dog says, my fake plants died because I forgot to pretend to water them. Nancy says, I think it's time someone put out gardening music. I would buy it. Got 98 viewers, but the squirrel ain't one. Okay, two acre miracle runaway lobster says, Seminole pumpkin is yellow. Is it good to pick now? What you want to do is look and see, is the stem attached to it turning yellow and brown? If it is, cut it. You've got a ripe pumpkin. If it's still green, wait, because it's still receiving sugars from the plant. You want to get as much sugars and maturity as possible. So, Pastor Don says, my wife just walked in and said, what are you listening to? LOL. Rap! Thumbs down! Yeah, I'm sorry, Pastor John. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I had a lot of fun. This is cool. I think you guys should try out the compost tea in the garden. It works really well. It's surprisingly good, and it's just like magic because it's free fertility. So yeah, I gotta remember to leave some rap beats in the background. Next time, it could get worse. So don't compost your wife. Say yes to your. No, you don't have to go that far. You don't have to go that far. Grungy version of Call to Arms by Inside. I don't know that one. Yeah, I've thought about adding Saturday. The problem is I'm usually out working, trying to work on the plants and stuff, so it's hard to fit in and make it go. So Jody says, I have the hardest time growing rosemary plants. What are the right lighting conditions? They actually are more of a Mediterranean plant. They like it a little drier. They like good drainage. They like full sun. And the biggest thing that seems to kill them is either getting transplanted badly or watered too much. Wet soil just kills them. Mary says, can you toast banana peels for potassium? Yes. Or you can just dry them. Yeah, I find rosemary to be a pain in the neck, but sometimes it grows like a weed in particular areas, like alongside sidewalks and stuff. So, it's crazy. Crazy. All right, guys. I will catch you next time. And until then, may your thumbs always be green. And I'm glad that you guys also didn't get on my case about the spraying copper sulfate. It was organic. Oh, Derek, since $5 super chat, you guys, you're gonna make me stick around. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. And I hope you sell a lot of plants. I did the nursery business, and you spend a lot of time caring for your plants and taking care of things and trying to handle things properly. And it's a great business, just connecting with people and providing plants. And when you've got rare plants, I am more than happy to. I'm more than happy, guys, to plug anything that you're doing. Somebody sends me something that they're doing, it's cool. Want to plug it? Great. I also, speaking of that, go check out below this video. Check out Matt's Insanity post where he talks about composting morning glories, and Raven's compost stew video. Go over to Raven. I didn't see Raven here tonight, but she and her daughter are fans. Her daughter's adorable. She's in the video, and she likes my music. So poor kid. Anyhow, go and stop by her compost stew video and leave her a nice comment. Say hi, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, Roy, that's okay. Just drop me an email. I am David at floridafoodforests.com. That's me if anybody needs to email me. I put it on my blog and everything. I get spam all day long, but it's worth it so I can connect with you guys. Catch you guys next time. See you soon.